Greetings, everyone. And a friend of mine went through a very difficult experience in Europe while touring and moving around in the cities. I'm not going to mention which city because that's going to make it very obvious who I'm talking about. But she experienced the fetishization at the hands of Europeans. It was a sexual fetishization. Now we know fetishization is an irrational devotion to an object, activity, person, whatever have you. Many people have fetishes about a particular body part. Some people make certain activities a fetish. I know some grown men, they have a Dragon Ball Z fetish. I used to watch that too, but what I'm saying, they have a very irrational connection to watching Dragon Ball Z that they're gonna have to explain to their children at some point later on, But in the case of my friend, she went to Europe, and what she basically discovered was that what she thought was genuine affection from the various nationalities that she met there, what she thought was a genuine interest or attraction, was actually just fetishization. Now, how did she become a fetish? Right? Why was she a fetish in the eyes of these people? Well, they live in a predominantly white society. Many of them make relations with black people a taboo. Right? Many of them don't consider us worthy of marriage, so on and so forth. They just really want to try a person out. They sample in black people, in other words. They don't really have a genuine attraction to us. Okay, and I have to put it in these terms. I mean, some people might say, well, this is racist. Some people might say that it's uncalled for me to say this. Well, the thing is, I can't really be more concerned about public perception than I am about my opinions regarding the treatment of my people. So if I feel like something is out of order, if I feel like a particular mindset is erroneous, I'm going to have to say something about that. All right? Now, my sister went through this experience, not my actual sister, like bloodline-wise, but she's a fellow African. And so when she went through this experience, I felt compelled to speak about this. Okay, now, suffice it to say that she had some relations with various ethnicities in Europe. And what she found is that, to make a long story short, these people really wanted to sample her body. You know what I'm saying? They want to sample her. They're not really interested in a long-term relationship that they could be proud of. They just looked at her as, oh, here is a black lady. We're not accustomed to seeing black ladies. Let me try and have sex with her so that I could fulfill a long-term fetish or desire to be with black people. All right? Because you find that whatever is most ostracized in society becomes most popular. So while we are the most oppressed people on the planet, some people still are harboring sexual fetishes towards the black people, and in particular the black woman. Okay, the black woman has been the subject of fetishes since the plantation. That's what produced so many mulatto children, because even though the slave masters held us in captivity, they still harbored a secret lust for both women and men. To show their depraved nature, they really considered us to be someone they could take advantage of, and thereby fulfilling some secret sexual lust that they would have for a person they treated like like garbage, like trash. Like Drake's album Scorpion. So I didn't mean to interject that, but I saw that she went through this experience. It really hurt her emotionally, and she wanted to let it be known that this experience is something that changed her entire outlook about dating and about relationships. Now, I know many of you would say, well, you could have told her that. I was going to say, well, I could have told her that too. I could have said, look, as much as you might think that you become popular and that people just find you interesting and they want to discover more about people from the Caribbean, right? But this wasn't really enough for her. She had to experience it for herself, even though the handwriting is on the wall, even though we can see that, hundreds of years of proof of our oppression. Even though we see hundreds of years of our oppression, some people still need to put their hand in the fire and get burned so that they can wake up and realize what reality is, Now, I'm not for discrimination in the sense that, I sort of find multicultural identities to be interesting, right? But I'm not about, engaging with people who don't really respect me, you know what I'm saying? So if there's a particular lady that I find interesting, and she happens to not be an African, she happens to be from another race or ethnicity, I personally would need to know that this is not some type of black fetish thing, that people just want to engage with me for some type of psychological thrill to just be with a black person, you know what I'm saying? And I don't usually talk about these type of issues, but hear me out. I felt sorry for the sister, and there was a time when I used to throw my line in and try my hand with this particular lady, this particular queen, but she wasn't working with the naughty dread, so I had to just let it go. You see what I'm saying? But when she went through this experience, I could have been just like a negative person and be like, told you so, I told you so, and so on and so forth. It doesn't give me any pleasure to see a person go through this experience, even if they would have shot me down in cold blood in the past. Even though they shot me down, I still don't get any pleasure from seeing that she went through a difficult, emotionally harrowing experience. But I just feel like I need to say a quick commentary. I need to make a quick commentary regarding the fetishization of our people. Because, there's this new thing called swirling. Many people feel like swirling, which is a black and white relationship, they feel like swirling is the new in thing, partly because the media is portraying it as something normal, right? But if we look at social factors and we consider the likelihood of a natural attraction, a natural relationship coming about, it seems very likely, very unlikely. It seems very unlikely that there would be a natural attraction, a mutual interest formed between blacks and whites in a more racist society. Now in a country like the Bahamas, in which the blacks make up about, I would say about 95% or maybe 92% of the population, I don't think that if there's a relationship between a black person and a white person, I wouldn't really find that strange, because we all still observe a basic cultural framework. We all have regular interaction. There aren't many cries of racism in the Bahamas, but there is a trend of colorism in which some people are socially promoted based on their phenotype, their racial makeup. Some people are placed through this process where they are given more credence and more validation by society than the indigenous black person. We find them, in most cases, they are elevated more quickly. And there are instances where, the black Bahamian supersedes all others. That's in the political sphere. There are instances where black Bahamians, they gain degrees and move on to being more successful than even many white residents. So I'm not saying that it is an outright system of racism, but what we do have is in isolated cases, it can be said that race is a factor that more benefits white Bahamians. In fact, a lady named Donna Vasili, she murdered her husband. She murdered this man in a wealthy neighborhood in the Bahamas. And it shocked many of us to see racism before our eyes begin to unfold. First of all, she was treated more preferentially than the average citizen would be treated. She was released and actually was able to leave the country after only spending maybe a few weeks or maybe a few months in jail. She was actually given a new trial. She was exonerated and left the country. Meanwhile, a Bahamian lady, a black lady, she went through the same process where she was physically abused by her husband. They fought. She ended up killing this person, and she's still in jail right now. So race is a factor. Some people might say that it's not as outright, which is true, it's not as outright, but there are instances where it'll be clear to you that racism is a factor. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this issue. Let me know what your thoughts are. Have you ever experienced this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Does it exist? Okay, just let me know your thoughts. And love.